at the new Matt Clark. How are each and every one of you doing on this amazing Sunday? I'm doing great. My girl's doing great. My family's doing great. I hope each and every one of you are doing great. And I hope you're just having a great weekend. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. If you could please hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that bell notification button to get all my videos when they're new. If you could share with somebody on social media, help spread the message, help spread the word, that'd be amazing. And there's a PayPal option if you'd like to donate, help support the channel. The link is in the description of a lot of my videos. Not all, but a lot. So what's up? We're going to wait for some people to come. You know, it's been a minute since I've done a live. So, bam, here we are. We know how the lives go, right? The lives are you guys. The topic of conversation is based off of what you guys want to talk about. And I know that is Thanksgiving and it's not going to be super crazy busy because there's going to be a lot of people with fam and such. But I'm here. So if you guys want to chop it up, let's chop it up. Oli, Yenica, Deshaun, Charger, Gino, Malo, what up? Much respect, man, and happy Thanksgiving. Anything to say about doing time at Beaver Creek? Now, it depends on where you're doing time at Beaver Creek. If you're doing time in the minimum side, you're basically going to be in one of the cushiest jails in the whole province. It is a camp. It has no fence. But, you know, you're like the chance of you getting there, unless you're a first-time not violent offender without cascading down, is, I guess it's not as hard as you think. If you're just like a first-time drug offender or whatever, you could easily get to a camp. And then there's the medium side, which when I first went there in like '05, it was like the lap of luxury for a jail. It's changed a little bit since the closure of Joyceville and turning it into reception. So there's higher security guys there now because of all the STGs and gang politics in Toronto. They have to keep guys apart from each other. So it's changed a lot. Hi, Matt. You look great. Love the sweater. Wishing you and your girlfriend and your family a great Thanksgiving, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Shiara, what up? GM, what's up? Yeah, you already know, GM. I understand. Steven Stuckley, what up? T-Dot in the house, Jane and Finch. You already know, man. Shout out to Jane and Finch. Hey, Matt, it's Patrick. We were down below together. I did 12 and a half years. I was released in 2017. We met at Collins Bay, Joyceville. No, not Collins Bay. I've never been to the Bay, but we would have met possibly in Joyceville. And I wouldn't have been there in 2017. But I was in Fembrook in 2017. Charger, almost lost everything. Work fired everyone. Favorite supervisor. Lloyd Daly, hello, Matt. You spent some time behind bars, so how is it spending Thanksgiving Day in jail? Describe the feeling. Hopefully you'll put a good scare into me. Help keep me away from that life. I would just say that it's lonely, you know. Some jails will give you some busted up turkey dinner. Some jails like Fembrook where you cook your own food, you'll get good food. You'll be able to make a turkey or whatever, but it doesn't matter. I remember that name. I'd have to see your face, but shout out to you, bro. Free up. I hope you're having a good Thanksgiving. So, yeah, you know, if you're in like a provincial jail, it's going to be just another day with a fake turkey meal. And if you're in the pen, you know, you might be able to have a visit. You may be able to, you know, have a better time. Maybe get a conjugal if you have a long-term girlfriend or something like that. But it still doesn't take away from the fact that you're in prison, you know. Freedom is a must, and it doesn't matter where you're doing time, you're still doing time. We worked out, and we always used to throw the football. Yeah, I remember. Shout out to you, Pisces. I remember that name 100%. I know you. I just have to see your face. When you were in, did you ever have to go through a parole hearing? Just my last bit. Yeah, so when you go to a parole hearing, anything that's ever been put on paper about you, they have. So your whole criminal history, they have. Your institutional history, they have. And they expect you to be honest about where you come from and where you're going to go. And if you go for parole, I would suggest that you have a plan, that you try to get some support. You contact halfway houses or a treatment center. A treatment center is almost always going to get you out if you are serious about it, you know? If you want to go somewhere like Stonehenge, a 6-month in-house intense treatment program, then you could go somewhere like that and they're almost always going to support it. But to the street, you don't want to put your number on there, bro. I believe you. I know the name Pisces. I remember the name. Like, well. I can't exactly put a face to it. Listen, next weekend, I am going to go onto Instagram. So, anybody who's thinking about doing an interview or anything like that, go to my Instagram. There's going to be so much. It's been so long, but I want to get a couple interviews on the go. Can you talk about life after prison, jobs, housing, etc.? Yeah. So when you first get out, chances are you're either going to have somewhere where you can go or you're going to go to a halfway house. From there, your best bet is to get a job, start working as hard as possible, and you are going to be limited with a criminal record. You're not bondable. You're not going to be able to work a till anywhere, at a bank or anything like that. No government jobs, anything like that. So if you're a male, I would suggest that you get prepared to work hard and work construction. There's always going to be work in construction. Doesn't matter if you have a criminal record or not. Somebody will hire you. I would say, even if you just have to rent a room or something, because you're going to be on parole, the best thing for you to do is to get a room and show that you're responsible. And you know what I mean? Have a good night, brother, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. And please text me. I have good business ideas and more. It would definitely. Did you ever used to get visits from your parents and such on the holidays? So when I was younger and I first started doing time, I had a lot more support from my parents. You already know there, Pisces. I had a lot more support from my parents, and I was in a much better situation. But as I kept doing crime over and over and people just kind of got sick of it, I lost a lot of that support. So there were a lot of court dates or time in jail and court dates where I had no visits. Years and years, no visits. Basically, all my federal time, I didn't see my parents. I think there was once or twice the last time I was in, because, you know, we had built our relationship back up and such. But a lot of my time I did alone. And it's a lot of pressure for somebody who's just trying to figure out where they belong in the world. Most people that are doing time don't really want to continue doing time, but there's something happening, you know, like something forcing you to need to break the law to make money. And a lot of times, sure, it can be laziness. In my case, it was laziness, 100%. But it wasn't laziness because I wasn't prepared to work. It was laziness because I had just got so hyper focused on my trauma, my addiction, and just blamed everybody else for my issues. And there was really no way for me to be able to work continuously without fucking it up somehow. What do you mean a pro hacker? Like a hacker? Like a computer hacker? For being a first-time offender, what will help me stay out of jail besides having a full-time and raising a daughter on my own and doing mental health therapy? Does take an effect for sentencing. Yeah, it'll definitely take an effect. If you are out on like a bail and you're successful on a bail, 100%. Like more or less, even if you won on good terms, would you give your mom a call? I always called on holidays. That's one thing I did. And it always made me sad, Mitch. It did. Because you can hear everybody having a good time, you know, and you're in jail and you're in prison and people don't feel sorry for you after so long. It becomes more like an expectation where they expect that from you. And it's embarrassing. It gets embarrassing to make those calls over time. And you want to make them less and less. Yeah, someone who hacked companies and robbed money. Yeah, I'm sure I have. I'm sure I have. I've met lots of fraud guys, right? I don't really get into it. What would you say is the best approach to support someone going down the wrong path? My partner's nephew is 16 and is now in and out of YO. And we want to help, but in the right way. I don't know if there's any one right way, but I'd say just be supportive, show love, but don't enable. You know, if it's addiction is the issue, don't give money, don't do any of that stuff. You need to let them figure it out. You need to make it not your problem. And if it comes to prison, you know, you got to set your boundaries. Obviously, you're going to love your kid no matter what. But you have to set boundaries. And that's one thing my parents always did. They set boundaries. If I was breaking the law, I wasn't welcome. It just was what it was. And eventually, that's what forced me to change my ways. To everyone watching, and you're too, Matt, happy Thanksgiving. And to other goofballs who cause a real man's problem and riding out, you're still goofs. It's hilarious. Prison is always lonely, you know, but over the holidays, it's magnified. It's magnified, you know, and I just think the more and more time you do, the more and more you realize how important that time with your family is, and it becomes harder and harder on you to deal with, and that's part of the trauma, man. Missing a lot. There's a lot of guys that miss a lot, you know, they miss raising kids, first steps, first birthdays, first words. They miss a lot of stuff. I've discussed it many times, but I've served time for many things, you know. I've served time for break and enters mainly. And I was addicted to making money, but I never wanted to hurt people. So I wasn't trying to do like armed robberies or bank robberies or like violent robberies. You know, I was just wanting to make money in any way I could because I was desperate, you know. When you're an addict, you are desperate. Have you ever been in love with someone to the point where you're desperate for that love? Well, that is every addict's relationship with their DOC. You are desperate for it. You need it. So you start breaking rules and doing things that principally you really don't agree with, you know. Now, being in my level head and working hard for my money every day, waking up and going to work, I have a deeper understanding of how that could affect somebody stealing their things. And not just that, the effect that going into somebody's house has on them and their family and anybody around, you know, that can be traumatizing in itself and catastrophic for people. And I recognize that, you know. I don't feel good about my past. I'm not one of those people that thinks it's cool that I spend a bunch of time in jail. Of course, if I could go back and change my past, I would. I just don't think that's possible at this point. Suran 6, man, you already know. Looking back now, Matt, Looking back now, Matt, would you say your incarceration was years lost or experience gained? Someone told me that the experience is the best teacher. I guess it just depends on how you look at it. if you want to look at it glass half full or glass half empty, you know. But I definitely think that it's years lost. I feel like I'm behind in life, and I have to work that much harder now just to be able to support myself, you know, because every year you spend in jail is a year off your resume. That's a blank year, you know, and that's when you spend year after year after year after year locked up, you literally are starting from scratch, basically. I was starting from scratch, almost like I was 19 or 20 years old. Got my license. I've started building credit. First time really getting anything on my SIN number or anything like that, like a car loan or any major acquisition. I just lived like a nomad and didn't really care about anything, owning anything. If I bought something expensive, 2 days later I could sell it. That was my frame of mind. I wasn't caught up with anything except drugs. Sam G, thank you for the $13.99, man. I appreciate that. Loyal supporter. Thank you very much. How do you deal with sleeping problems when trying to recover and start working? I don't know. I don't have crazy sleeping problems. I sleep pretty well. But I don't know, man. That's a hard one because with everybody it's different. You'll have to figure that out. Sleeping problems is not something I really deal with. There seems to be a lot of overdoses in the jails lately. Every time I turn around, I hear of someone from Guelph dying. That's just because of fentanyl. Same amount of drugs are in jail. The drugs are just different, you know. And then you have another issue where a lot of the time you'll have a bunch of shitty dope because it's jail. A lot of time guys will just cut the shit out of it so that they can make as much profit as possible. So they don't care. They'll sit on it for months till the place is dry. And then it doesn't matter how shit it is, they'll be able to get rid of it. So guys will do shit dope. And then one day somebody comes in and this person doesn't have that mindset. They think, I'm going to be fair. I'm going to give everybody bomb dope, bomb counts, and I'm just going to be cool with it. And then bang, people just start dropping because they're not used to that good dope. I've seen it happen in the pen a few times where really good dope will hit the compound and guys will start dropping like flies. But you're always gonna have overdoses in prison. I've seen guys running down the range with guys' bodies that look like they're dead and they somehow resuscitate them. You know, you see that shit in jail a lot. Did you ever have any problems with any gang members ever, or were you cool with them? I would say I was mainly cool with them, man. Of course, in all of my years doing time, I've gotten in some fights. I wouldn't say that gang members are the issue for me, you know? Sure, when you come in, you get a lot of young guys that are gang members that can cause issues, but I was always like a big guy, so I just naturally never had to deal with a lot of that, you know? I heard under Bill C-83, the federal prisons are able to bring in body scanners. Have you heard any? Oh, body scanners are in there. Oh, you mean in the federal prisons? Ah. Yeah, I don't know. Ion scanners are so off the wall and so inaccurate. Like, I've seen guys, old grandmothers, get denied because they ping for acid or something like that. Just something outrageous, you know what I mean? Ion scanners are BS. You have to use a new pad, clean the system every time. They're always inaccurate. You know how many guys lose their visits because of that shit? Like a lot of guys lose their visits because of that. And ratting. You could have a guy that's literally just doing it big, you know? He's figured it out. He's figured out a way to get past the screw's eyes. And then some fucking idiot, jealous con who's not getting treated as good as he wants to. I wouldn't even say con, inmate isn't getting treated how he wants to get treated, and he flies a kite. Shit happens all the time. All good plays get destroyed by the hater. Always. I have a PFV next weekend, and it takes me a whole week to clean everything. Yeah, that's what I mean. You got to be super duper 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 careful. You're better off to like wash all your money, change, anything like that, put it in a Ziploc bag. Wash your ID clean, put it in a Ziploc bag. Watch all the clothes that you're going to be taking with you. Boom, wrap them in a bag after you wash them, fold them so they don't get contaminated by anything. Cali Nuts, man, what's up? Penitang, the worst jail, in my opinion, lockdowns all the time. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Any of the super jails nowadays have those kind of lockdowns. The last time I was in Lindsay, the lockdowns were ridiculous. It was literally like maybe once or twice a week. After 6 o'clock, we were getting out of our cells. And if it's like that and you ain't a guy on a range, you ain't getting out. You're not going to get shower program. They're going to run all the guys on range first. You're always going to be last. The only time that you're ever going to get it is after everybody else has bathed, and maybe there's a little bit of time left. It happens every single shower program. Handful of dudes get left out because they're not prepared to voice their opinion, or they're just not looked at like guys. Lockdowns suck, man. Especially shortage of staff lockdowns. They're even worse than like a lockdown for a search. It's crazy. See, when I was in Fembrook, Beaver Creek never locked down. When I was there, like, it wasn't getting locked down for shortage of staff. What's the biggest difference you've seen in the streets since you touched road? Example, like how dudes more or play the streets. Honestly, I've been like out of the streets a whole lot. Wait a minute, hold on. I'm not in the streets at all. You know? So I couldn't tell you. But I would say that it's clearly a much more tense time. People are way more on edge. People are way more... yeah, Joyceville was okay for me too, bro. You know? If you do your time right, your time can be fine. It's just... if you make mistakes, those mistakes can cost you your life. And it just is what it is. So you're better off just to do your time and stay away from it. Because a whole jail can turn on somebody like that. Man, I've seen it. Somebody comfortable. And then the next day, the whole jail's after them. Just the way it goes. Newborn Assassin, what's up, man? Smoking that gas. If I smoke like good cigarettes, I'll smoke next. And if I smoke, which I do most of the time, I smoke DKs. I'm gonna quit, man. I'm gonna go get the, what's it called? Champix. I've tried, like, my addiction is just crazy for cigarettes. I need to break the you know, break the mold. Well, Demorier is my favorite too, but I don't want to pay $20 for a pack of smokes. Yeah, because whenever I was in the pen, shortage of staff wasn't an issue in the pen. It's an issue in provincial. Intruder is one of the first purchase you make in jail is a body bag and how much does the body bag cost. So it's a rumor, but not really a rumor at the same time. So if you die, the $80 will be used for a body bag. But really, that $80 is for your release. When you get out, it gives you a little bit of like a startup, and they'll give you a bus ticket or whatever, and that $80. Fake news, eh? Damn, I remember the native bogies. If you're smoking those, are shaking it. Nah, man, the DK premiums, they're not too bad. But next is what I prefer to smoke. I just don't like spending so much money on the motherfuckers. That's a fact. Problem is, I'm scared of flying. I'll probably do it one day just because, but it terrifies me. I did it when I was a kid a bunch of times. But for some reason, I've like gained a fear of it. 6% of CSE's budget goes towards community resources. Huh. Yeah, there's not a shit ton of community resources for a guy getting out, but there are some. Maddie, when you go back on IG, don't forget to look for my message. My favorite spliff is a Saturday morning. Come out, sit in my car with a hot coffee and a nice fat spliff, and I'm blessed. I'm happy. Oh, you mean the Nick Rush? I don't really get a Nick Rush, to be honest. Do people get smashed every day or once a week or only once in a while? It depends on where you're doing time. Provincial, you'll see guys if you're in a pod, you got to remember there's like six ranges in a pod. I think it's in an octagon, so I think it's 6 ranges. You'll see a lot of guys fighting, but no, I wouldn't say every day, but could be times where you see guys fighting on every range every day, and there could be times where on your range there's fights every day. But you could also be on a range where there's not fights very often. Now, in the pen, it's a lot different because most guys aren't fighting. It's going to be a lot more serious. So people are a lot less quick to fight, if you know what I mean. I'm on vacation in Vancouver, British Columbia. You ever been to Vancouver, Matt? I live there. No, I never did time in the unit, bro. We almost got sent there for our riot, but not quite. A lot of guys did, but only guys that were able to be identified. My score was 25.5 after I got kicked out of Fembrook the first time and sent to Joyceville in 2006. So I was close to max, but I never got there. Maplehurst is the worst. Yeah, Vancouver is crazy expensive. Yo, Matt, you listen to any artists from the dot? Yeah, I like a lot of Toronto artists, man. I do. I like a lot of them. I like Pressa. I like Doovie. I like Bizlo. I don't mind some of what's his name songs. Lil Beretti, he's got some good songs. I like some Moolah tracks. Moolah's got some good tracks. Richie Stacks, he's got some nice tracks. Let me think. There's a lot more Toronto rappers I like. But yeah, I do. I like Toronto raps. Specifically, I like the sound. I think it's unique, you know? I like YG. YG's dope. He's unique. I like Casper. I like some of his tracks, man. He's got some big tunes. I like Toronto hip-hop, man. It's good. I think that they need to get away from the politics if they want to branch out, if they want to get bigger. I can't get with the accent if I'm being honest, but that's our accent. Anybody who's done time gets that like mixed accent that Canadians have. It doesn't really like fully go at rap, but it works for me. Yeah, you gotta like the accent. It's different, right? Like, it sounds like Toronto hip hop. I just think that when you go to jail, if you do a certain amount of time in Ontario specifically, patois is almost like infused into the con lingo, and it just kind of is what it is. If you live in Toronto, the accent becomes normal. That's it. And in jail, prison, not everybody adopts it, but I did all my time in the dot, so I understand the lingo. So for me, it makes sense. The music makes sense. You know? Anyways, guys, I got like 1 or 2 more minutes on here. It don't matter, right? I've always lived there in the GTA at least, but I can't get with it. Some of the lingo I use, but the actual accent I can't. And to each their own, right? I like artists like Honeycomb Brazy, right? Who you can barely understand, so I can understand it. It's just the lingo, my brother. What was my longest stretch in the hole, and what did you do to survive? So my longest stretch in the hole was when I was getting shipped from Fembrook to Joyceville. I got caught with some weed. I got street charged, and I was getting shipped to the Ville. I sat in Seg for like 3 months. That's the longest I was in Seg, but not the worst time I did in Seg. Like, we got smoke breaks, brother. At that time, you could smoke. So 3 times a day, they'd crack the cell. You go out into the fucking Seg yard and have a fucking smoke. You have a workout pit in the yard. You have your stereo, your TV, everything in the cell with you. And at that time, there was no line food in Fembrook. So all the food they fed you was the same shit they were feeding the coppers. Those good food. But the worst time I did in Seg was back-to-back 30-day bits, loss of all privileges, where the guards hated me at the time. So like my door was closed, like my window, they had the metal hatch over the window all day. I got fuck all. 8 a.m., 8 p.m. they take your mattress, everything except for one sheet. You get no books, no phone calls. All you get is a piece of paper or papers and a pencil and a Bible. That's it. 60 days like that. At the end, I was talking to myself. I was balling up the paper and smacking it off the wall like I was playing pong with myself. I was losing my mind, doing crazy amounts of push-ups. Just not good for the mind, man. Anyways, I love you guys, man. Thank you for coming out for the live. I appreciate it. It helps me. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you, and I hope you just have a great week, the rest of the week. And I'm looking forward to Halloween this year. I wanna dress up and scare the kids. Just go around the neighborhood. I told my my family last year. I want to just put on a Jason mask and go out into the love y'all.